just, strapping on a support or something. That's exactly what it's doing. So if it was a larger piece, you may want another one in some areas. You just kind of have to think about it, but you would just design the inner foam in that manner to where you just plan out where your stiffening ribs will be.
So is there a guideline on that, like every 3 feet of span, or?
If there was a guideline, I would make sure that there was some about every 3 or 4 feet like this. I'm okay with this. Between this and here, we're not going to do anything in the center of this. It's not really big enough. Now, if this piece was this long, then I might think about putting another stiffening rib in that.
Okay.
Now,
this will also act as a stiffening room around here.
Yep, right around the sink. Absolutely. Yep.
Just thinking.
Like one other, so essentially this is going to be 2 pours. You'll never see the same?
Well, it's all technique, and that's what we want to show you, because we want to pour the first 1/2 inch, and then also what we're going to do is we're going to basically brush up or paint material off the sidewalls. If you don't do that, then yes, you will have a seam line between the two mixes. So if I waited 1/2 hour and then put my foam in to build up the rest of it, I would actually have a seam mark where that first 1/2 inch was, and then the rest of it. So I want to paint everything up the sides, so I'm coating it. It's not filled, obviously, but I'm coating the material up there, so visually it will be seamless.
That's cool.
Okay, so that's definitely a good question, and part of the technique is we want to make sure that we're painting up anything that we're going to see visually, so that when we do come back and fill up the rest of it, it'll be all consistent.
It's essentially your spray coat with your hands, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of, you guys figuring out how to spray this stuff in traditional GFRC, we're doing this all hand applied sort of, and just casting it. So instead of all the different mixes and all the different techniques, we're just using one blend to do the entire project. Okay? And then the foam, obviously I hacked it this late last night, so it's good. It'll hold together. We'll see how it goes, but you guys get the basic idea. We're trying to knock out as much as possible. And then the other real quick note is this stuff does react. You don't have your traditional concrete reinforcements like rebar and wire mesh and things like that. So you can core drill holes through this really easily. All your natural stone fabricators, your granite guys, and marble and whatnot, they have to use the diamond core drill bits, and just wherever your faucet holes are, you can certainly do this with this material. You can cut it, you can drill it, whatever. Me being a precaster, I always prefer to cast the holes if I know where they're supposed to be, and that's why I have a knockout in there for a hole. But you certainly could come back and drill this with no problem. Okay, you don't have to worry about breaking the reinforcement or hitting rebar or something like that, and it drills really easily. Okay.
It's probably also because there's not a bunch of different size aggregate in the rock as well.
Yeah, that also makes it a lot harder for traditional concrete.
So you can just burrow right through it.
Yeah. What other differences? The other thing aesthetically is that because it is thinner and lighter, it doesn't have as much mass. So yes, it's easy to carry and easy to install and all of that good stuff. But if I knock on it, it doesn't have it has a little bit of a hollow sound to it. Okay. So that's really it. Obviously, there's pros and cons to that, but it's structurally it's sound, but it just sound-wise it's a little different.
So you know how your table out in the front gets really cold in the winter, and you put a heater underneath it, and all concrete's going to remain kind of cold. Is this going to be less cold because there's less mass to the
No, it's just duration. So if you're heating something up, it's going to bring up temperature a lot faster than a solid mass of concrete.
Okay.
That's all. But yeah, it looks and behaves just like concrete, so it'll get as cold or as warm as you want. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with this mix and this product. Everything from heater coils embedded in it and things like that. So, you know.
That's cool.
Any other questions before we? Yeah.
If I were to make a countertop that's just an inch thick and not have this shell thing, can you just cast it as a 1 inch thick and not worry about the 2 inch profile in the front, but just have a thin countertop 1 inch?
Absolutely.
So to me, it sounds like it's easier than having this process of the shell. It'd still be more lightweight than a 2 inch concrete one.
Birds attacking us. Yeah.
Maybe a little simpler, you know.
No, it is
straightforward.
definitely. So essentially, your regular standardized concrete, you don't want to go below 1.5 inches. So if you're wanting to do something thinner, you want to look for a mix like this. You know, engineered to be a lot thinner. If you're going 1 inch, and my target is generally 3/4, that extra 1/4 inch is probably not a big deal. I would just cast it full inch thick.
Right.
Now, the only thing you're adding is material expense. Remember I said that the expensive material is more of the sack of concrete. So that's really the only thing you're thinking about is the actual expense of it. The material wasn't meant to or designed for super thick, solid castings. And if you did do that, yes, it would be sturdy and really hardy, but it would also be very expensive.
So would it be less likely also to absorb stains like oils and things?
Not necessarily. It is a dense material, so you know, all concrete has different
Character.
porosity depending on how much it's vibrated and consolidated and all that stuff. I don't consider it any more stain-proof than any other concrete.
Okay.
It is denser. You're still going to be relying on sealers and stuff like that to protect it.
So if you wanted to do an integrated sink, for example, you just need
That's
to.
my 3-day advanced class.
Okay.
Integrated sinks.
I'll just be
No,
quiet.
no, it's
I mean,
integrated.
can I
So
just pull it up like you're going to do on the sides?
Yeah, exactly. So
And then-
this material is lovely for integral sinks because instead of standard concrete where you're essentially building 2 forms to cast it, you actually need a back cap around the sink
Right.
and you need to backfill that and everything. This material can just be applied over your sink mold and you're done.
Sweet.
So the form work is a lot less than than traditional concrete would be for a project like that.
Okay.
And with standard concrete, usually sinks still have to have a good thickness to it.
Right.
In traditional concrete, those projects get heavy really quick. Once you start getting 3D on it, it gets so heavy. But this material, it's beautiful because we can do 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch, and it's very manageable still. But it's a lot easier to do it with this type of material.